Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching
You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy,
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
God, I assume Tom.
Today, I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with someone that was on Super Fun Night, is part of Superstore, is my second favorite Canadian on the series following America Ferrera. Lauren Ash, how are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
I am phenomenal. This is our very first official interview. I mean, we've ran into each other at Comic-Con. We've ran into each other at Critics' Choice Awards, NBC holiday parties, all that fun stuff, kept it casual. Now we got to pretend to be professional and actually work because season 2 premieres Thursday, October 29th, just in time for Halloween.
It's actually season 6, but yes, it does. Yes. Listen, they all start to bleed together eventually. But yeah, we're premiering October 29th. It's very exciting.
In my defense, this is my 7th interview of the day.
Listen, we all had to get on a jail-free card with pandemic everything, so you don't got to worry about that. Not at all.
But this is the 99th episode on October 29th, and then the following week, November 5th, is going to be the 100th episode.
Yes.
I just also have to say, because NBC after a while thought I was making it up, but I still have the hat that they sent me for Cloud9.
Ah, that's amazing. I love that.
And then, of course, the European medium vest that they sent me as a Halloween costume, forgetting that I'm 6'3" and 310 pounds.
Listen, it's the thought that counts. You could frame that, put it on a wall, reseal it.
When I do a set visit, you guys are all signing it for me.
Oh, see? There you go. You've already got it all planned. I love it.
We got to have some fun with it, right?
Totally.
Yeah. But not only are you Dina on Superstore, you've got a true crime podcast called True Crime and Cocktails, and now it's going to be the Unsolved Mystery Edition. And I thought Christy's name was a typo because I saw an X in there, and I went, uh-oh, how am I going to say this? So how do I pronounce Christy's last name?
It's Christy Oxborrow.
Christy Oxborrow. Okay, so you and Christy Oxborrow are on this one. And Christy, I'm glad I didn't butcher your name and I had someone pronounce it for me.
Of course, yes. Yeah, the show just premiered actually less than 2 weeks ago. We are cousins by blood, but sisters by life. So the two of us kind of decided to take our late night true crime drunk conversations, record them, and let the general public be a witness and be a part of them. And so it's been really fun. Season 1 is all about the new Unsolved Mysteries episodes that are on Netflix. And obviously Netflix just dropped a bunch of more of them. There's 6 more. So we're going to start covering those in the next few weeks. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm really excited about doing it as a show.
Well, it sounds like a great concept. It's unfortunate Robert Stack isn't with us anymore, so he couldn't be a guest on there.
I know. That would be the dream, right?
I have to say, you are the second Canadian of the day.
Ah!
And yes, I know. There's a bunch of you. Go figure.
There are.
The thing is, why are you, you guys are some of the funniest people, and no one remembers that it's all the Canadians that are funny.
Yeah.
Some guy you work with, Mark something or other from Kids in the Whatever. No, Mark McKetty from Kids in the Hall. Absolutely love Mark. Dave Foley, the original SCTV cast. Martin Short, John Candy, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin. The list goes on and on. Rick Moranis. But everyone forgets that you guys are Canadian, or do they just ignore it?
No, I think that quite often people will find out I'm Canadian and then be like, oh, that explains it. We have these weird passes to the exclusive Canadian Comedy Club, which is a delight. But people are often really fascinated in why are Canadians so funny? Why do we have so many exports that are so funny? And I always say that I think it's growing up in harsh winters. I think that really, you have to have a sense of humor. You have to develop not only a way to stay warm, i.e. laughing, but also just something so your soul doesn't get crushed, And the other thing I always say about Canadians in comedy is we love self-deprecation. We love to make fun of ourselves. And I think that kind of lends to some of the best comedy, because if you don't take yourself seriously and you're willing to kind of try and find the fun or the funny in everything, then chances are you probably will. So I think that there's a science to it, and I've been concocting my own theories.
Got it. So it's blizzards and booze.
Yeah, that's it. That's the headline right there. Absolutely.
You know, that's our joint podcast, by the way, for December 2022.
Exactly.
You're going to drag me to Canada, and then
Yep.
we're going to do the show over there. Because,
Yeah.
nothing like somebody that grew up by the beach in California sitting there and going, it's under 65 degrees. I'm going to die.
I know somebody referenced something recently about winter in California, and I was like, oh, that doesn't exist. I know you think it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, my friend's cousin over in New Jersey was crying about how cold it was. And he pulled the biggest dick move because there was a palm leaf on the driveway, and took a photo and goes, yeah, we're suffering too.
That pretty much sums it up in a nutshell, really. Coconut shell. Thank you. You're welcome.
There you go. Well, yeah, we try, but
Yeah.
season 6, this is a big deal. I know we just lost last season, The Good Place.
Yes.
And that was absolutely hilarious. And Thursday night has become must-see TV again on NBC. And you guys are essentially keeping a 40-year tradition alive with that.
Yeah.
Cheers into Frasier and Friends and Seinfeld, Good Place, you guys. Like, how does that feel to sit there and you get the 8 o'clock time slot, that leads into the rest of the must-see TV lineup in that same honorable spot 40 years later and going, wow, NBC still rules Thursday nights?
It's pretty surreal. I mean, it's obviously a huge honor to be a part of anything that's even close to that stuff. I remember growing up and watching all of those shows, and it's a really cool thing. Honestly, I'm somebody who's very nostalgic and very sentimental. And so those things are like really special and important to me. And I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they're continuing to do it. And it feels amazing to be a part of a show that can not only, sustain itself in that slot. I mean, we've been in that slot for a very large percentage of the years that we've been on the air, but also can bring the level of comedy that we do. And to me, the thing that's so special about Superstore is that we're able to kind of reflect what's happening in the world and what's happening in the country in a way that people have really responded to, and we do it in a way and poke fun at things in a way that it doesn't feel soapboxy or preachy. It's just really reminding people that these characters are reflecting the lives that all of us are living right now. So it's not only been an honor and a pleasure thus far, but I've got to say, going into season 6, it only continues. We've been given a treasure chest of fodder to base stories on, given the last 7 months of everyone's lives in the world and certainly in America. And so I'm really excited to continue to get to hold that coveted must-see TV slot and also get to do some cool stuff in the process. We're portraying the people that have essentially been keeping the country running for the last 7 months. All of us have been able to eat and feed our families because of the frontline workers that have put their lives on the line, literally, to make sure that all the rest of us can be taken care of. And that's not lost on me either. And I think it's a really awesome opportunity. And I couldn't be more proud to get to portray the people who really have been the heroes in the last 7 months in the world and in this country.
Well, apropos, the episode that's kicking off season 6 is called Essential.
It sure is. It sure is. And we start kind of, it's cool. The first couple episodes, I don't want to spoil too much, but we do see, what happens back in March, to these characters, which we all know at this point, obviously going into season 6. We go back in time to March and we kind of see what the beginnings again that we all remember living through. And it's kind of cool to get to see, again, if we were a brand new show, I feel like it would be, bizarre maybe, but because we know these characters so well, and we've been with them for 5 years, it is, I think, very interesting to see how they react and how exactly things go down at Cloud 9, which obviously is a place that has, a lot of issues in every different way. So it's kind of cool. I'm really excited for people to see it. We've been filming now since early September, I guess, August, September. I don't remember. Time is a construct. But so they kind of, all the episodes are starting to melt together, but I'm really excited for people to get to see it.
Well, I saw the first episode already, and it was really funny.
Thank you.
I kind of wished it was the closer to season 5,
Yeah.
But, time and, the world falling apart kind of didn't allow that to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's still a good time. Mark is hilarious. And I will say the character of Justine has some of the best lines in this episode. So that is your spoiler.
I love that. I love that. That's not a spoiler. That's just a teaser, my friend. I love it.
Well, that's the closest I'll give to a spoiler.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
I get the emails every week from NBC. You don't spoil this. Don't do that. And I was like, you guys have seen my reviews enough that I don't go past the first commercial break in spoilers.
Of course.
So relax.
Well, listen, if it makes you feel any better, we get those emails too, where it's like, what are you doing? Don't put this on social media. You can't say this. You can't put these pictures out. They're spoilers. So I feel your pain.
Well, I just want them to actually just send me a vest that fits. Not a European child's medium.
Of course. Well, if the world ever allows and we can have guests again, obviously you will have to come and visit us and we'll see that we can get that all taken care of.
That would be fantastic. I would love to do that. I have to ask you Shira a question.
Please.
Since you're Scorpia and Shira, they dubbed the show into multiple languages. You're Canadian, so we automatically assume that you speak 300-year-old village French. Do they allow you to dub Shira in French, or is there somebody else that does it for you?
Oh no, somebody else does that. I couldn't French my way out of a wet paper bag. I lost it. We learn it in school growing up, and I can understand more than I can speak, but it's definitely for the best that they hire somebody else to do that job. I don't. That's out of my wheelhouse, unfortunately.
Okay, because my mom's from Lebanon, so we were also a French colony. And I learned French when I was younger and then lost it at some point. My grandmother passed away, no one really to practice with. And then every once in a while, I don't know if this happens to you since you learned it in school, but I'll dream in French and then I'll wake up and wonder why I can't retain it when I'm awake.
Oh, that's so interesting. I haven't had that happen. That's really interesting. I love that. Well, who does speak French is Mark McKinney. Right. So he on set, he'll sometimes speak French, and then then I start to have those flashback fever dreams while awake about remembering it from school and how to speak back and stuff. And I can get a little bit, but he's much more fluent than I am.
And he's your dub for the character in Shira.
That would be amazing. Absolutely. If it was just Mark McKinney apropos of nothing. I love it.
Well, Mark can go pretty high, so you never know.
He sure can.
Take us back from when the show first started 6 years ago. And, I think I told you this when we talked in San Diego that I can't confess to be an OG fan because I started at episode 4.
Right.
Because so much was leading into it. But I am original from season 1. When you get the first script, there has to be some part of you that goes, this is either going to be a huge hit, this is going to be a miss, or you could have thought it was a miss and then all of a sudden 6 years later, you're like, wow, we're still here and this is awesome. What's it like to get the reaction 6 years later for something and then go back and remember what it was like when you were cast in the series?
Listen, from the moment that I read this script, before I even had this part, I was like, this show is going to go and it's going to run for 7 seasons. That's was my initial reaction. To me, the show is just so clear. When people ask, what is that show? It's like, oh, it's The Office set in a big box store. That's all you have to say. And people go, oh, okay. They get it. It's a very easy pitch. I find some shows that can be great shows. If you're having to spend 3 or 4 sentences trying to describe what the show is about, you've probably already kind of lost some people. So I think that was the first thing that hit me. And the second thing was the characters were just all so different and so defined, even in that pilot script, which is really a testament to Justin Spitzer. I was like, there's no reason why this show won't be successful. I just really believed it. And I've been right so far. So I can't speak to whether my prediction that a 7th season is coming yet. But again, thus far I've been right. And it is nice. It's been kind of it's been a cool thing to watch grow, because when the show first started, obviously, look, I get it. Viewers, they don't want to get their hearts broken. They don't want to invest in something and then it's going to go away in a season. They want to, they want to make sure that there's some sort of longevity in these relationships, which I respect. So it wasn't until season 3 that we started to get I started to get recognized a little bit more. And then by season 5, I mean, that's when people have really started to find the show, and they binge it on Hulu or now on Peacock. And the amount of response in that a span of time has been really cool and really interesting, because again, it's been kind of slowly building, but I've really felt a huge uptick just in the past like year and a half. So, I mean, I get recognized in stores now with my mask on. Like, people literally are like, oh, that's Dina. Like, they hear me and they're like, and I was like, yeah, it's me. And, you know, like, to me, which is such a testament again to how popular the show has become. So, it's cool. It's really, really cool. I love the show so much. I love making the show. We all do. And it's nice to get recognized for something when you genuinely, you know, love it. Because listen, there's lots of shows that you can do and you know, have a good time or a bad time. They can be successful or not, but you feel a little bit more like it's a job. There's a little bit more of an ambivalence to it. Which is not a negative. That's just, you know, in any occupation, in any career, there are going to be jobs that are like that for people. But this is just a different one. This is the one that, you know, I think all of us are going to look back in the winters of our lives and remember as being a very special moment in time.
Well, I will tell you from now, I think you're absolutely wrong about 7. I think you guys are going to like Cheers level.
Listen,
you know?
Your words to their ears. Respond to those emails and let them know your thoughts.
I've already told them. I was like, you know, November 5th is episode 100, California Part 2, which I'm going to throw the name out from now, and you know, and then on top of that, I want another 100. So we got to go the distance.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
You know, if Walmart and Costco aren't going away, Superstore shouldn't.
And that's it. Again, I always say, I'm like, even if you've never worked in one of those stores, you've probably been in one. And if you haven't been in one of those stores, you probably know what they are. So this is something that's pretty universal in terms of being able to understand what we're talking about.
Right. With everything going on, I know 2020, like I tell everybody, we should just take the calendar year of 2020, drop it on 2021 and do a full reboot, because I want Halloween on Saturday.
Yep.
I want 4th of July and Memorial Day on Friday. I want New Year's on Friday and Christmas and whatever else, you know, so just, if we can change the clock back 1 hour, we can change the calendar year and just drop it on the next one.
I love that. I think birthdays shouldn't count this year. I think this is just it's a wash. You know what I mean? Just, it's a wash. We'll get through it, and next year we'll live the real 2020.
Hold on. I remember your thong birthday cake, and at some point you're gonna have.
I know.
Yeah, but you're gonna have another milestone birthday not too far away.
Yeah.
How do you top that cake for the next milestone birthday?
You know, I had one the year after that cake that was like my full body, including my face. It was a real work of art. But this year my party got canceled. Now, I was not sick with COVID. It was in February, but I was very sick and I didn't get to have a birthday. And man, oh man, what a letdown. You know what I mean? Like I was sad at the time, but now I'm like, I thought I'd have a makeup party by now, but anyway, c'est la vie. But yet you're right. And this is something that I really need to think on. And the other thing I'm just going to tease is that I feel like cakes are great, but the next thing that I'm looking at is an ice sculpture. I'm just saying, I got a February birthday. I don't know what the design is going to be yet, but I'm already noodling on it. So stay tuned.
Ice sculptures. If chainsaws are involved, I want the exclusive.
Right? Absolutely. Right. No problem.
Forget Us Weekly. It's Fanboy Nation on this one. All right?
I love it. I love it.
You know, I love that you're still having fun with everything. You know, I mean, Super Fun Night was a fun show that unfortunately lasted only one season. Lars and the Real Girl was a great movie. You got to work with David Carradine on stuff, you know, and here is this hit series that you worked so long and so hard to get. It has to be refreshing at some point, but there's also like that drive to keep it going because it took you a few years to get where you got.
Yeah. And, you know, I often say that I feel like I really am grateful that I've had that journey. I feel like, you know, when you see the stars that maybe got extremely famous at a very young age, they maybe, you know, have their freakouts and meltdowns and whatnot. I think when you get, you know, your success in your 30s, I think at that point, you know, you've worked for it. There's a real value that you can put on it. You know, you're just, you know, so grateful that your hard work has paid off. But then to your point, you know, it doesn't stop. You know, people, it's funny. I've had people say to me, like, how do you feel now that all of your dreams have come true? And I was like, that's such an interesting question, because are all of our dreams ever realize like that idea, then what's the point? Then you should just throw it in the towel. You know what I mean? So I think it's about, exploring and finding what the next thing is and what's something else that you want to do. I always say, I'm like, it never gets easy. It just changes. That's what I always say. The more success you get in this industry anyway, I'm sure in most industries, but the more success you get, it doesn't ever get easy. People are like, but once you're on TV, and it's like, there's just a whole new set of issues. There's just a whole new set of, it's never, you can't ever get complacent and just say like, oh, I've done all the work, now I can just kick back. It doesn't really work that way. But again, the good thing is that when you've spent a large portion of your adult life getting this far, it doesn't feel as daunting to just, nose to the grindstone, keep your head down, keep pushing ahead.
Right. And then 6-year-old you is screaming that you're a superheroine on a He-Man spinoff, X years later with She-Ra and the second incarnation of She-Ra.
Totally.
So,
totally.
Now when they do the live action version, you need a cameo.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Listen, I want to play her in the real, why not? Give me some lifts in my shoes. Give me like good 4 or 5 inches. No problem. I could totally play Scorpia.
Hey, there's a lot of male actors that have, 8-inch lifts. So I think
100%.
you with 3-inch lifts isn't a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here's the thing. You have to go to a big box store. Do you avoid wearing polos and blue shirts just in case people ask for help?
I'll be honest with you. I don't wear a polo in general. It's too close. But I do get recognized in those stores a lot, usually by employees, because I think that's our target demographic. Didn't even plan that. Anyway, you're welcome. But yeah, I get recognized a lot, and quite often people who work in those stores are terrified if they see me. Because they think that I'm like Dina, I think, which I'm not. But it's always fun. It's actually, I love Target. Like that's where I love Target. It's my favorite, and I'm a bargain gal. And so, it's actually fun to watch people's brains melt. Like that's like a gift when you get to like watch people like put together who you are and where you are and like how weird that is. That's pretty fun. So it's always a joy. And listen, people are always like, so excited, which is cool. Once the fear has worn off.
Of course. Well, here's the fear question that I have to bring up. What's the most recent prank that you played on your mom?
Oh shoot! You know what? I haven't. Not since the pregnancy prank. I have not pranked her again. That one was pretty extreme. I'm not really a prankster. This is the joke. Even though I pranked people on Scare Tactics for so long. But yeah, getting the opportunity, since she did scare me as a child, she played a prank on me and I cried and peed on the floor, cause she scared me so bad. It was very sweet to get that revenge so many years later. And when I told her like, look, this is just what's up. This was my revenge for that time you scared me so bad. She knew, and she accepted it. She didn't at all question it. She was like, you're right. I deserved this. So it was pretty good. All
right. I have to say, with as cool as you are and how many times we've hung out at various parties, I want to hang out with your mom, because if you guys are that much alike, I know she's gotten to that age where nothing embarrasses her at all.
Oh, she's been at that age for my entire life.
but it's got to be a little bit more to the point of like, I don't care.
Yeah, sure.
Kick me out.
Sure. Yeah.
And absolutely. I don't know why your mom sounds like a raspy smoker in my head, but
it just makes sense.
But I want to hang out with your mom one day just to see how she reacts. Like I picture her at like 90 years old with a cane, just tripping people as they walk by.
Yeah, that's very accurate. Very accurate.
People always talk about, growing up, I don't know if you were the funny kid growing up or if you played hockey or sports or whatever. And I'm going to pick on hockey because we're going to go with the Canadian stereotype
sure.
at that instant. But, having the success now, how many people come back that were either rude to you as a kid or whatever and go, I knew you, or I know you. Oh, hey, remember me? And like, how does that reaction come about in your interaction with them?
A lot of people come back. And it's funny too, because since I started the podcast with my cousin, she has started getting a little bit of notoriety in her hometown of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. She's doing interviews like this. She's doing print interviews, radio interviews, etc. And I've told her, I'm like, just wait, because there's going to be people who are going to reach out. So it's an inevitable thing. People obviously very kindly want to, say I knew her when, etc., which has happened to me very much. But, I was fairly lucky. I did have, I don't know if anybody who specifically bullied me has reached out to me. I don't think so. Certainly not from childhood or high school. I've been pretty lucky in that way. It's just mostly been a lot of positivity, which is great. And I get it. Like, it's a cool thing. I remember, like, I grew up, my hometown is like 20 minutes from where Avril Lavigne grew up. And she hit huge when we were in high school. And like everybody was all about like, oh my God, you're from near where Avril Lavigne was from. So I get that it's like, this is, especially I think for Canadians, we're just so excited when Canadians succeed. People come out of the woodwork for sure.
Right. And since your cousin is from Moose Jaw, I assume you're from Belching Beaver.
Belleville, you got the first
Really?
three letters
Okay,
there. Amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. I know Moose Jaw. One of our. There's also there's some pretty interesting Canadian town names, but Moose Jaw's probably got to take the other than Dildo, Newfoundland, probably takes the cake for we don't know, but those two are probably up there for being the weirdest.
Let's just chalk it up to being a Dutch name.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is. There is some history to that. Yeah, for sure.
We'll just leave it that it's a Dutch thing and not go too deep into that.
Nope, no need.
With everything that's going on, how March was obviously the turning point for us. April, everything fully went down the toilet. How were you able to retain your sense of humor in all of this, and then coming back to a series knowing that now it's going to be a skeleton crew? I mean, you have the entire ensemble cast, but you can't have 40 people behind the camera anymore. It's got to be 12, for example. Right.
It was interesting. I came into the pandemic hot, where I was like, let's go, let's do press. I can do a million of these. Get me on interviews, do whatever. I'll do Instagram lives, whatever. And I think that was because I didn't think it was going to last that long. So I was like, I'll just keep my momentum going. And then, come like May or June, I think I'm the only person that burnt out during quarantine, which makes sense, given my personality. But that was when I actually was like, maybe take this time to rest, because I think we're going to be in this for a while. And the thing that really got me through, one of the things was cooking. I taught myself how to cook. I've always loved to cook, but with TV schedules, it's like virtually impossible. There's just no time. You eat all day at work and then you come home and go to bed, get up and do it all again. So that was something that was like really therapeutic for me, and really kind of it was nice. It was nice to kind of feel like a semblance of like a real life. I think sometimes actors, or I'll speak for myself anyway, we kind of I fantasize about like, what's my other life? Like my other life is like living in a cabin in the woods, like baking pies all day and fostering Chihuahua puppies. So it was actually kind of nice to be able to take that time once I finally relaxed to just, do the things that you don't get to normally do, the simple things, which was really, really lovely. So that was probably my lifeline.
So this is your pitch to get on Celebrity Chopped.
I would die. I love Chopped so much, and I watch Chopped and then pause it after the basket items and say what I would make every episode. And so, yes, long story short, yes, please, Chopped, if you're listening, I'm ready. Put me in. I'm sharpening my knives. I'm ready to go.
And, we'll throw it out there for TLC, since they become the 90 Day Fiancé channel. Celebrity 90 Day Fiancé. What do you think about that?
I think it's a great idea. Obviously, it's nothing I would ever want to be a part of, but that is I'd watch the hell out of it. I'll say that much.
Well, Will Sasso and I probably would too. I interviewed Will about a week ago, and it was another Canadian, actually.
Yes.
And we were both kind of embarrassed. I broke it down. I said, we're both born in May. We're both bald. We're both 6'3". Our families are both from the Mediterranean world. And here we are discussing a dating reality TV show on cable.
Listen, that just feels right, okay? That feels like the stars aligned in a very special, very intentional way.
Right. We could have talked football. We could have talked professional wrestling. We could have talked comedy along with his animated feature. And we went 90 Day Fiancé. So.
Of course. Well, Angela and Michael, these are things that need to get talked about.
Oh, that's your addiction now too.
Oh, I've watched every second of that programming, and I literally, like, TLC should be paying me the amount of people that I specifically have gotten to watch that show. Like, I honestly deserve kickbacks. I just want an EP credit. That's all I'm asking for.
Makes sense.
Right?
Well, I just found out they have 17 spinoffs, so.
They do. It's a lot. But I mean, again, the quarantine was a great time to, like, just really dive into that universe.
I can't believe I'm talking about this show again too.
Listen, it's a phenomenon.
But the more important show is Superstore, because
Yes.
it's network and you hit 100 episodes.
Yes.
When did you guys, let's pick on you since we're talking to you, and I'll pick on Ben when I talk to him later next week. Did you count, okay, we're at episode 36. Okay, episode 37. I know it's listed on the script, but there's got to be a part of you that has that counter as you get closer to 100. Like, we see those shows that make it to like 98 and they get canceled. Or like, really, you couldn't give them the 2?
Yeah.
What's it like when you see inching up to 100 episodes? Like, obviously it was a big deal when you hit 50, but now that you've hit your centennial, what's that feel for you guys?
It's amazing. I mean, this doesn't happen to shows anymore. I feel like, if you get 2 seasons, 3 seasons of something normally, that's like a big deal in the current climate of television and programming, because there's just so much content. It's the coolest thing ever. Again, like, for me, and anyone on the show will attest, like, I'm the one that's like, yeah, of course we are. Like, I've said this from the beginning, like, it's not a surprise, guys, the show's great. Okay. But that aside, it really is an amazing accomplishment, again, to be a part of something that can go for, 100 episodes and, your words, God willing, another 100 more. It's amazing. That's such a huge accomplishment in general. For me, what was the sad part was that I grew up reading like People Magazine and Us Weekly, and you'd always see the pictures of the TV shows, and they've got their slab cake that says 100, and the whole crew and cast are there for these photos. But because of COVID, we can't have cake on set, obviously, and we can't, cram in for a photo that close. So, much to your point from earlier, 2021, when we're finally allowed, I am going to force us to get that 100th episode sheet cake, and I want my darn photo, damn it. So there you go.
There you go. And you can get it at Costco, because Costco has amazing cake.
They're delicious.
We're just going to name every big box store. Sam's Club, we didn't forget about you guys.
No.
That way everybody's on the same playing field, and no one feels neglected in this
Exactly.
And the 90 Day Fiancé aspect.
Listen, they don't need any more press. They're doing great, obviously.
Okay, let's take it to that route. Would you ever become a reality TV show producer, and what reality show would you produce?
Oh yeah, I mean, my friends and I have talked about this for years. My one friend, she's a great cook, and so we've often talked about doing some sort of cooking show together. I'm actually good friends with Rachel Ray, and my best friend and I actually made a pilot once for like a reality kind of travel, I guess is a better way of putting it, show, which was so fun. And it's a travesty that we haven't sold that yet, but never say never. Now a little bit more challenging because we're not really traveling as much yet, but absolutely. I love that world. And I'm a huge documentary fan. I think I like, that's like my favorite form of content, really. So I think it would be awesome, and I would do it in a heartbeat. Why not? People love it.
Yeah. God forbid you get to eat and, go to Tunisia. Oh, how terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Come on.
Yeah. Of all the horrible places to go,
Yeah.
I love when people sit there and complain about traveling. Like, oh, I got to go here. I was like, yeah, that's awful. Of all the places, Oh, you got to go to Greece? That was hard for you? Oh,
Yeah.
my condolences.
Yeah, exactly.
When is your mom going to do a guest spot on the show?
Oh gosh. I mean, I don't know. She would love it. She was in community theater when I was a kid. Like, I grew up in the wings of our local theater. So she would certainly love that. But she did, she's very stressed about Christmas. Is the travel going to be able to happen? Are we going to be able to be together? It's very important to her. So, that's her main focus right now. But if we're going to, her burgeoning, re-emerging acting career could happen any day. So she's close to retirement. And then, I think that's going to be time for her to take her next shot. Why not?
You know, and then just have play Dina's mom totally boring.
I love it.
You
I
know,
love
like
it.
Dina's mom is a total hippie.
Exactly. Yeah.
What I really love about the show is that everybody plays every character so straight. It's not shtick.
Yeah.
I mean, Nico's character is a little over the top, but it fits, and everybody else goes along with it. What's like the worst part about the table read, and the best part of transitioning it to the recording? Because obviously stuff gets changed between Monday and the day of the taping. Like, do you guys ever sit there and go, "Oh, I missed that joke," or it's like, "Well, it's out, move on," because that's just the gig?
No, we have the luxury, obviously. So we do the table reads usually a couple weeks in advance, and then we have a full. Well, during COVID now they've added a sixth day. So normally we would shoot an episode over 5 days, but now it's over 6. And so if there's changes that have been made like that, we usually get them. There's a lot of different alts. So what you're watching is, for one joke we could have shot 6 different versions of different things, and that's kind of what the luxury of time will permit. So that often happens, actually, that it'll be like, wasn't there a joke here in the table read that we liked? And then we'll just like do a take of that, because why not? And then you have it and they have options. So nothing's really dead. No jokes are ever dead. Let's put it that way. They always have a chance to zombify, for sure.
A lot of shows have Easter eggs in the background where it's like the same thing that they put all over the place. Like one guy on Instagram, Shira tie-in, decided to Photoshop Skeletor into every single one of their vacation photos to see if his wife realized it or not.
Right.
Do you guys have like a stuffed animal or like a specific product that ends up in every single episode, or is it just never thought of?
We don't, but I do know that like our set dressing people do have those little things. Like for a certain amount of time, Glenn, when he was the manager, had a Canadian flag in his office. In the break room, there's a can of Tim Hortons coffee that I don't think anybody would ever see. There's like definitely little things like that the crew does for us, which we love. I think it's really fun and cute. I love those things. And like there was an episode where Glenn had like a monkey hand puppet, and that in his office, after that, when he was there, it was always somewhere. But yeah, I don't know how much of it is even noticeable, but they have those little jokes, which we all like, especially as Canadians.
And fill us in on the Tim Horton coffee for those of us that don't know.
Oh, if you don't know, then you don't know. And that's what's sad about it. And it's also available in America now, certainly at border towns. There's lots of Tim Hortons. But if you can, order it, make it at home. It's delicious. I mean, it's a national treasure for Canadians. And any Canadians who say they don't really like it, they're just trying to be cool. The truth is that we love it. We're basically raised on that stuff from birth.
Right. It's like the people here that say they don't like Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on. It's delicious.
Got it. It's one of those things. It's that I'm too cool for the cheap cup of coffee when it's actually the best one on the market. I know.
Exactly. You got it.
For everything that you get to do now, and episodes 1 and 2 are in the can. I know episodes 3 and 4 are going to be coming soon. What do you think it is that really attracts the fans to become dedicated to your show? Like, people will still watch Friends on Netflix, on the Warner Brothers cable channels, on HBO Max, on top of everything else, and wherever else they're going to show it. And you guys are almost, no one's gotten like Dina's hair bun yet as a fashion style, but it has its loyal fan base to the point that people will dress up as you guys for Halloween this year, even though they can't go anywhere. How does that work for something like this, and keep the desire to be a part of it? Like, is there eventually going to be like a Superstore convention?
Oh, listen, I would love that. We had a great time when we went to Comic-Con a couple years ago. There was a lot of cosplayers playing different characters. There's a gal that she goes to cons, and in the daytime she's work Dina, and then at nighttime she's sexy cop Dina. It's awesome. She does such a good job. Her cosplays are awesome. They're like note perfect. So that's so cool. Enthusiasm like that is obviously just like the best. But, I think at the end of the day, the thing that brings people back, and it's the same for any one of those shows, Friends is a great example too. It's really just, you care about the characters. You become invested in the characters, invested in their relationships with one another. They probably remind you of people from your real life in some way or another. And I think I mean, that's what, it's comfort, you know? Like, I know that for me, it's like, sometimes I'll be like, oh, you know what? I just want to watch an old episode of Friends. I want to watch like that one where, you know, XYZ happened, because there's something comforting about seeing these people that you've known for, you know, 20 years of your life or however long. And people say that a lot. Like, a lot of people online will talk about, like, Superstore has become my new comfort show. I put it on because these are my friends that I've known now for 5 years. And there's something kind of nice about knowing who these people are. You know who they are, you like them, and they make you laugh and remind you of something, because ultimately that's what it's all about, you know, taking people's minds off of, especially now more than ever, what's going on in the world is like why we do what we do. So it's nice to hear that people kind of view us in that same way, for sure.
Right. And especially since I love to hate Jonah. But,
Yeah.
but Ben's a nice guy, so I can't.
He is.
All right, here's a personal question then, because I know someone has to ask this at some point. Have you, since the show's been on the air, have you been on a date and the guy was disappointed that you weren't more like Dina?
I don't know that has happened, but I've gone on some dates where over the years where it was not revealed until we met in person that they were huge fans of the show. So that's always interesting. When someone's, you know, there was one gentleman and I met up with him and he couldn't look at me and he was like, episode 6 in season 1 is my favorite episode, magazine profile or whatever. He like went on this whole thing and I was like, oh no, like this is going to be awkward. You know, and then I'm too nice. So then I like stayed on that date too long, you know, like I was like, well, I feel like I got to give this fan an experience, I guess. So I guess we're just going to like eat this brunch. But you know, luckily I'm in a fantastic relationship now with someone who is amazing and supportive and loves the show, but that is not at all what, he was looking for when we met. So, it's great. It's great that I can also, you know, close that book, close that chapter of those. Is this person actually a secret super fan? And am I going to find that out on the first date? Let's see.
Right. But on the bright side, you had your Trekkie moment.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
You know, I mean, I've covered the Star Trek conventions. I've seen the people go, all right, so in season 3, episode 7, at the 23rd minute, and like, wow, okay, you guys got that level of dedication. So
I know that there's fans of ours on Reddit, which I'm not on because it scares me, but they like try and draw blueprints of the store, like based on how we've shot it and stuff, like what would the store actually look like. They've tried to come up with like schedules for different episodes. So like depending on who was working when and like if they saw the clock, like what time of day it was. I love it. I think it's amazing. That like level of investment is pretty awesome.
So if we ever get a Superstore convention, this is just speculation and for fun, which Superstore should we have it held at?
Oh, the original. Come on, Ozark Islands. Store 1217. Come on, there's no question. We're not going to go to Fenton. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. No way. No, 1217 all the way. It's the only place. The OG.
The fact that you actually brought the store from the show when I was actually talking about a real life convention in a real life big box store.
Yeah, no, but we should have it in the store. Come to the set. We'll do it there.
Because NBC would really love that, especially right now.
Yep. That's not at all a complete scheduling and infrastructure nightmare. But yeah, hey, why not?
Right. But on the bright side, people will get their toilet paper because they'll be stealing it from the shelves in the set.
Yeah, listen, come on.
You know, we have to tease about that now. We're far removed from the toilet paper craze days, so.
Sure, exactly.
We can tease
exactly. We all remember those days.
Oh man, I'm so excited with this 6th season because I can't give away spoilers in this and talk to you about it like, oh, and this scene happened and this scene happened and this scene happened because it's going to ruin it for everybody else. And then NBC is going to reject my access to episodes 3, 4, and 5 when those are finally on the press site. But when people get excited for the series, like I'm excited for it, obviously, and I've been a fan since episode 4. To come along, like Phil Lamar, for example, he's a voice actor, and I'm sure you've worked on some projects with him in various cartoons. Will remember, like Phil's answer to when people remember something from, say, Futurama, and he'll go, just so you remember, we only recorded the show once. You've watched it umpteen times. Has that moment happened to you where people will come up and like, oh, in season 3 and whatever, because like the Reddit crowd that's trying to create the schematics of the store, obviously there have to be people that are like quoting Dina lines to you.
Totally, yes. Now, first of all, Phil LaMarr guested on Superstore. I think it was season 4, which I loved because he was playing like a voice actor on the show, which I thought was so brilliant. Yeah, that happens all the time. People will bring something up, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but sometimes depending on what it is, and like if the person's not asking and they're just telling me they liked it, I'll be like, yeah, and then afterwards I'll be like, I don't remember that at all. Like, I don't want to crush dreams in the moment too much, but certainly if somebody asks something specific, and people do, yeah, there has been times. I have a pretty good memory, like I'm a pretty good encyclopedia for the show in general, but there's always stuff where I'm like, oh my gosh, it really blurs together eventually. And what happened in season 2? Yeah, that's tough. I don't 100% remember.
Well, we're not going to remember what happened in season 2, but we are going to remember what happened in episode 3 of your podcast with your cousin.
That's right.
So which episode is coming up that we got to look forward to? Because I know you guys are talking about like UFO stuff and missing person stuff and sex scandals and all sorts of crazy stuff from the new version of Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes.
So what can we look forward to in this one other than, you and your cousin drinking Canadian whiskey?
Listen, the first 4 episodes have already launched, so you can listen to them now. They're live, they're streaming everywhere on the internet. But next week's episode is Berkshire's UFO. So that was the episode of the new Unsolved Mysteries, the first season. Of course, there was a phenomenon where a bunch of people in the same small town at the same time all experienced these inexplicable phenomenon that they believe was UFO related. Christy has dug deep, as she does. She's an amazing researcher, and she comes up with some amazing stuff. And she has some pretty cool theories that are not extraterrestrial based about what exactly this phenomenon could have been that these people experienced. And I got to tell you, by the end of that record, as I am a believer, I am an X-File, by the end of that record, I was kind of leaning towards her with some of the government conspiracy things that were going on around that time that maybe could have explained these experiences a little bit better. But for the episodes that are already up, there is amazing stuff. House of Terror, she discovered a sex scandal that was not talked about on the episode of the show. She's discovered, military backgrounds into people that were potential suspects in cases. She's come across medical examiners that lost their licenses before they were performing these autopsies. I mean, she's truly made this her new full-time job, and I really do reap the benefits because all I have to do when we record is just show up. And as I always say, she's the Chuck D, I'm the Flava Flav, and it's really just her dropping truths and me going, what? Wow. Oh my gosh. Like, that's basically a large chunk of the show. So people get into it. People have already loved it. It's been amazing. It's really taken off in less than 2 weeks, and we've already gotten a really solid fan base starting. So I encourage everybody to seek us out, give us a listen. I think you'll have a fun time.
That is awesome. And with that, because of your cousin, when Alien Con comes back, we're going. We're going to try to get you guys a booth there.
Oh, they'll hate us. They'll hate us. We debunked them. They're not going to like that.
No, don't debunk anything. Go with the flow.
Absolutely.
Keep it live. The next episode, Berkshire's UFO, drops on October 27th.
Yes.
So that's going to be Tuesday night.
And we're going to have a Halloween bonus episode coming for you on Halloween Day that does not have to do with any of the Unsolved Mysteries. We're going to be reading listener submissions of some spooky stories and talking about our own Halloweens in our childhood and teen years. So that's going to be a lot of fun too.
Teen Halloween.
Those
are
Halloween.
Some interesting times.
Yeah. Sure is.
All right. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just getting a call here. I got to run.
No, I was about to end it anyway, so we're
no worries.
Timing. All right. So give us a teaser for the season 6 premiere. Give us a teaser for the podcast with your cousin.
Yeah.
And then let everybody know where we can find you on social media.
Of course. Okay, September. I already started it. Wow, started out strong there, Ash. Wow. It's the end of the week. I've had a long one. Okay, no, let's go back. All right, October 29th, the season 6 premiere of Superstore is going to be hitting everywhere. We're obviously going to be talking about the pandemic. We obviously have America Ferrera back for her final 2 episodes. So episode 1 and episode 2 We're going to see Amy. We're going to get that whole storyline cooking again, which I know we left everybody on the cliffhanger at the end of season 5, so you don't want to miss that. You're also going to want to see how these Cloud9 employees handle all things pandemic and quarantine in a store that we know traditionally isn't necessarily the most supportive of its employees, so stay tuned for that. Also, True Crime and Cocktails Unsolved Mysteries Edition is available anywhere you listen to podcasts. We have checked. It's all there. It's a whole lot of fun. Me and my sister by life. We record at night in our pajamas, drinking booze. We like to call it our true crime slumber parties. So we encourage you to stream some of those episodes and look out for a new one hitting next Tuesday. Episodes drop every Tuesday with some bonuses added in along the way. And I would love for you to come and join us.
Absolutely. I would love to be a guest if you'll have me one day.
Listen, we haven't had guests yet, but we're talking about it. That's the next thing we're talking about, maybe branching out again. So we're addicted to creating the content. You'll hear from me.
Hey, we figured out the Zoom thing. We can make it work.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And remember, everybody, don't drink and drive.
Yes. Thank you. Stay home. Zoom and booze.
There you go. Or when we go to Canada, blizzard and booze.
Exactly. I love that.
And again, remind everybody of your social media stuff.
Of course. Yes, I thought I had everything, but I didn't. On Instagram, you can find me at Lauren Elizabeth Ash. On Twitter, I'm Lauren_Ash. And on Facebook, I'm facebook.com/Lauren Ash Actress. So find me anywhere. I'm there. I love to interact, and send me a message.
Perfect. Lauren Ash, thank you so much for your time. Superstore
Thank you.
Again. October 29th. I love the series. I wish I can claim to be an OG fan, but at least I came along during season 1, so we're good to go at some point.
That's OG to me.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for that.
All right.